war years of 1910 through 1914. Quote, "Along that row of distinguished and original faces there would pass from time to time, as lightly as a shadow upon the waters, an alarming, an alien spirit, a spirit dangerous and indefinite, the spirit of whimsy. In the hush of crisis and the tumult of abuse, or when the stuffy air of the commons seemed almost to glitter with the shining salt ripples of sarcasm, there it played, airy, remote, and irresponsible." End quote. Is this incoherent angst over history's final verdict the reason some supporters of this resolution have taken to this floor, though not in this resolution itself, and verbally profess three key defenses of their decision? One defense is they were misled into supporting an Iraqi regime change because of the false claim it did or might possess weapons of mass destruction. Mercifully, let us stipulate these elected officials performed their due diligence on the matter and, especially for our Democratic colleagues so situated, they did not overly trust the man so many of them had accused of stealing a presidential election. Again, there were numerous justifiable reasons for authorizing the President of the United States to militarily execute a regime change in Iraq. As those reasons are written in that resolution, I will not dwell upon them, for they do not constitute the crux of the matter, which is this: the war aim of regime change was a success. It is the post-war failure of Iraqi reconstruction breeding our present perils. Thus, even if a member of Congress can be excused for authorizing force on the basis of being misled, the member of Congress cannot be excused for failing to demand adequate post-war reconstruction planning, nor for a 3-year failure to demand constructive changes to an inadequate post-war reconstruction plan. Dovetailing with this defense, some of the resolution's supporters now claim their initial ardor for the regime change was a mistake because this administration has botched Iraqi reconstruction beyond salvaging, and the fledgling democracy is now in a state of civil war. This argument has the merit of being partially correct, for despite the hard-learned lessons of our nation's former successes in doing so, this administration utterly failed to comprehend and implement the fundamental principles of reconstructing a defeated, belligerent nation. Importantly, this does not preclude reconstructing Iraq now. While rife with sectarian violence, much of it instigated and perpetuated from external elements, Iraq is not in a civil war. Relative calm exists in most of the beleaguered nation's provinces, and if one dares to look, there are agonizingly slow but significant signs of incremental progress in the establishment of order. This progression will be expedited by the administration's new plan, which finally incorporates the two fundamental principles of Iraqi or any reconstruction plan. 1. A liberal democratic society evolves upward from its traditional roots of order, not from a centralized bureaucratic government downward. And 2. A nation's transformational evolution into a liberal democracy must contemporaneously provide transactional benefits to its citizens. These fundamental principles will be implemented through critical initiatives such as provincial reconstruction teams, an accord on oil revenue allocations, and a national reconciliation process, amongst others. But to earn the support of terrorized Iraqis, security must first be established so they may commence securing the blessings of liberty. This is why the troop reinforcement is required, and why the twin pillars of troop reinforcement and grassroots reconstruction can achieve a joint American and Iraqi victory over the enemies of liberty. The ineluctable fact of our victory is that it must be won with the help of Iraqis, which is disconcerting to many of this resolution's supporters who believe the Iraqis are unwilling to fight for their freedom and are incapable of perpetuating it once it is secured. This argument often intersects with the charge our mission in Iraq has untenably shifted from effectuating a regime change to erecting a model democracy. And for the above reasons, they think this is impossible. This deplorable argument is antithetical to the self-evident truths written into our own Declaration of Independence, though sadly it is not without precedent. Once more, let us reference another resolution, this one opposing a military mission creeping toward a decidedly different goal. Resolved that the Emancipation Proclamation of the President of the United States is as unwarranted in military as in civil law, a gigantic usurpation at once converting the war professedly commenced by the administration for the vindication of the authority of the Constitution into a crusade for the sudden, unconditional, and violent liberation of 3 million Negro slaves, a result which would not only be a total subversion of the federal union, but a revolution in the social organization of the southern states, the immediate and remote, the present and far-reaching consequences of which to both races cannot be contemplated without the most dismal foreboding of horror and dismay. The proclamation invites servile insurrection as an element in this emancipation crusade. As a means of warfare, the inhumanity and diabolism of which are without example in civilized warfare, and which we denounce, and which the civilized world will denounce as an uneffaceable disgrace to the American people, end quote. So much for the prognostications of the, quote, Peace Democrat-controlled Illinois legislature's 1863 resolution. Thankfully, by the grace of God and the sanguine sacrifice of the American people, it was this Illinois legislature, not our African-American brothers and sisters or our nation's great emancipator, who are to be denounced by the civilized world for all eternity. What of our legislative body? Now resurrects the specter of our own judgment, which hovers above and shadows us as we seek to ensure we are not forever weighed in the balance and found wanting. It is as it should be, as it must be, for notwithstanding its non-binding nature, even after this resolution's disposition, our duty demands we make moral decisions affecting our nation's victory or defeat and our fellow citizens' lives and deaths. Is this not why, even while bearing malice towards none of them, in defending his own war plan, our own malign president warned his opponents history is a harsh mistress? Quote, is it doubted then that the plan I propose, if adopted, would shorten the war and thus lessen its expenditure of money and of blood? Is it doubted that it would restore the national authority and national prosperity and perpetuate both indefinitely? Is it doubted that we here, Congress and executive, can secure its adoption? Will not the good people respond to a united and earnest appeal from us? Can we, can they, by any other means so certainly or so speedily assure these vital objects? We can succeed only by concert. It is not, can any of us imagine better, but can we all do better? Objection whatsoever is possible. Still the question recurs, can we do better? The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise to the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history. We of this Congress and this administration will be remembered in spite of ourselves. No personal significance or insignificance can spare one or another of us. The fiery trial through which we pass will light us down in honor or dishonor to the latest generation. We say we are for the Union. The world would not forget that we say this. We know how to save the Union. The world knows we know how to save it. We are even here. We here hold the power and bear the responsibility. In giving freedom to the slave, we assure freedom to the free, honorable alike in what we give and what we preserve. We shall nobly save or meanly loose the last best hope of earth. Other means may succeed, this could not fail. The way is plain, peaceful, generous, just, a way which, if followed, the world will forever applaud, and God must forever bless. My friends, history hearkens your honorable hearts to reconsider supporting this immoral resolution. If one believe all human beings are equally God's children, whether they be free or yearning to be free, one cannot, after a cruel sip of hope, condemn 20 million of God's equally beloved children to a saturnalia of slaughter. If one supports our troops, one cannot deride their cause as injurious to our country. If one seeks our victory in the war on terror, one cannot advocate a retreat and defeat in the face of our enemy. My friends, through the fog of war, our fiery trial illumes and creeps ever nearer along the trail. Rather than curse the darkness and dread the echoes of history's verdict, let us acquit ourselves with lasting honor by leading our searching nation through these trying transformational times and into a transcendent triumphal tomorrow. Let us earn the esteem of the latest and later generations of all free people by reaffirming our revolutionary republic cherishes the self-evident truth all human beings yearn to breathe free. Let us, in our nation's finest traditions and truest character, remove the Iraqi people's bonds of oppression and replace them with bonds of brotherhood amongst our free, sovereign, and secure peoples. Let us, in the face of terror, march always in the ranks of honor and courageously and selflessly secure the Iraqi people's blessings of liberty, and in so doing, secure our own blessings of liberty for unnamed generations of American children. Mr. Speaker, fully cognizant of my moral duty to our troops, my constituents, my country, and my Creator, I cannot in good conscience support this resolution, which is injurious to the cause of our nation's victory and in consequence is patently immoral. Therefore, I urge this resolution's rejection and pray God graces, guards, and guides the steps of all who bear the burden of our decisions made on behalf of the majestic American people. I reserve the balance of my time.